Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I've never talked to a priestess until I met her. And she is the co-founder of the Voodoo Spiritual Temple and Cultural Center. It's a nonprofit corporation in New Orleans. And she's been doing this for decades, literally decades. She also has a
Decade.
website, many decades, right? It's like almost 3.5 decades, right?
Right. Here in New Orleans. And my ministry as a whole is over 40 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not all in the same place.
Well, before we get into, I want to talk today, at least a short part of today, about the products on your website, which foster spirituality and so much more. Before we even get there, though, tell us what is a voodoo spiritual temple? We hear the word voodoo. Sometimes it scares some people. How would you describe it to someone?
Well, it's Voodoo Spiritual Temple is it can be a house for, it's like psychiatrists or institution for psychic and mental problems of humans' emotions, but it's sometimes it's hard to really explain, but it's to meet people's needs and to help them to cultivate their life beyond the frustration or improper situation that has come upon them, and they call it problems, as well as my experience with voodoo at this time. It's like meeting the world of humans' minds that travel and want to see something that off the path or something unique or something that they've heard the story of Marie Laveau but when an institution is pretty much to meet the challenge that humanity goes through and to give them some insights to rise beyond them. And that's pretty much what I do throughout here. Meet many people who are struggling through some form of hardship with finance, romance, health problems, and just so and now as we in this period we meet people's mothers, children who are incarcerated in jail, etc., and they want us to see how to administer ways to help them to get out or to get less sentences. So it's just a whole big host of variety of concept or circumstances that fill the void of voodoo, besides what people try to figure it out. And no one could really comprehend that an institution with a title would deal with people's romantic problems, or somebody want to get married. I lost you. Alan.
No, I'm right here.
Alan. Oh, but I can't see you. Okay. Something happened on my side over here.
I still have you.
So my browser went kind of
Okay, we're back here.
Okay. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I see you. I hear you. All good on this end.
But I can't see you.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But
you just have to see you. Doesn't matter about.
Oh, okay. So
let me ask you, Miriam, how do you define spirituality? Everybody's got a different definition. Spirituality.
Well, that's the big question of this time period, because it's a word that is overspoken. Energy or spiritual without energy, or the inspirational views of humans' minds and emotions, or the inspirational views of the world affairs that meet us, and it cause some connection with us that may bring on our in different field of expression or physical body fields of energy, and people say, oh, I think I feel spiritual. I feel like something has imposed against me spiritually. You know, the word is used in so many ways. When an energetic force mount you or to uh, activate something out in front of you, and say, oh, I thought I saw a spirit. And
Hmm.
so it's like to describe spirituality is the many different not affected, many different active forces that can be somewhere flamboyant, or maybe a feel of touch on a person's body, and they say, oh, or maybe just a whole refreshing thoughts or emotion riding through your body, and the person's like, oh my gosh, I feel very spiritual. I feel like a deep spiritual energy working through me. So it's like, to describe it is and to put it into an orderly context, that say, yes, spirituality is a sword that can be activated in many reflections, but that would be like too simple. And it's how it influences people in different ways of emotion. Some cry, some, as people's experience in church, and they say the spirit came on me. I'm happy. And the person in our church, or in the churches they call the Holy Ghost church, spirit touched the person, they just start dancing and maybe even just collapse. So, but
Hmm.
the spiritual activity sort of, expresses itself, and how each person will reflect to it. It can be so different in how you just feel more in solitude with you, and you're just at harmony with you. And you can say, I'm in divine harmony. I feel very orderly with spirit within me. So, and then somebody said, well, what is that spirit? So it always
Hmm.
leaves a question. And there's never a full answer or solution of what spirituality is. Because in different perspective of peoples around the world, or how people collect the emotions and how they relate to it. And so it just, in these different dynamics of force of acts or action that each person can administer or acknowledge, well, I feel really spiritual today. And then I'm well with my spirituality. And then maybe that mind is directing it to maybe being well with church, or maybe being well with Jehovah's Witness, maybe being well with the Baptist church. That's my spirituality. So it's how each person directed and how they relate and what they related to. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very individual. Um, do you feel that spirituality is a belief in something bigger than us?
Well, the universe sphere is always bigger, and we are just a little dot within the universe. And yet it activates us each day to wake up and to make some decisions about our existence, and to find something in fault with our decisions that we make.
Hmm.
And many people find fault with their decision, and it freaks them out because they feel like it's really something broken, and I feel like the world done come apart. But energy or nature or the universe uh, awaken us with these different signs of acts or action, not to be in a way that is a problem, or it's dividing us from a wholeness, but it's activating our total being to be more asserted and transform with created ideas that is greater workable with these different signs of acts or action of universe, of energy, of spiritual awakening from the dynamic of the universe to us in that sense.
So I want to ask you about some of the products on your website, which, help people with their spirituality. Um, you have something called Success Oil. What is that?
Well, everybody want to have success. And and in metaphysical science, there's a remedy for many things. And there's an order to put it together. There's a science of herbs, there's a science of perfumes, there's a science of different fragrance that can combine together and to initiate the toward the concept of success. So I have one of my bottles here,
Hmm,
and somehow you're in tune you get in tune with the emotions of the idea, and it just start working its own ingredients together, and it just empower you to put different fragrance, maybe a little bit of lavender, a little bit of uh, patchouli, and all that can go, and all of a sudden you got a good base. And then you use oils like safflower oil or either olive oil, or it depends on the, what you're making it for. So, and then you get it, and you should be here. You can smell it.
hmm. It sounds
How you,
good.
how you can, it's like making a cake, like putting together a big feast for people to find something to empower their thoughts.
Right.
People have many thoughts, but then a little perfume or a little suggestion of oil help bring it more into fruition, more in a reality to the person, because uh the thought is there, but it could be like bare. But then when you have this powder or money powder, or you have some fragrance that you can spray, or the oil that you are not, and so then person can go to the racetrack and maybe win big and pick his horse.
Hmm.
So the spiritual people years back always had a sword, or they had to have their ram in the bush. And so they always had a little mojo bag, they call it. And you find from African mythology, we make the Wanga bag and protection bags, things that help people to find some comfort while they come to terms with the rhythm of anxiety and fear. So, and long as a person can have something just to hold on just a little bit, and then he can conquer his fears, or he find more at ease to go out in the night or go out among his friends, because he got his mojo back. He got my
Hmm.
mojo working, they call it, right? So, but it's in this metaphysical science, spiritual science, that can be to Catholic Church, and every one you find that there's different products, there's different prayer clubs, different prayers to read, affirmations to say, to influence your mind beyond your own suspiciousness, or uh, to give you more power just to go on and apply for a good job without over thinking about it. Is it going to happen? And so giving confidence to people that they can be empowered to receive the ideas, the job, or even to win a court case. We have oil, court oil, for the people who are not going to court. And so many different ways to put different products together that can enhance people through different circumstances that they're going through.
Is it, Priestess, the intention that you put into it? You have protection oil. We just discussed success oil. Is it really that the intention you put in really makes a difference as to what the outcome is going to be?
Well, I would say so, as well as the thought that you apply to your client. And people are ordinarily suspicious. Many people have doubts. But when a person can find confidence in you, the one who arranged it, and how you express it to them. They say, wow, that sounds great. And then to advise them, apply without questioning it. If you got to over question it, then leave it off. But it's the products as well as the person who is making the presentation to the client about them is very important.
Hmm. So let's look at some of
Because
the other products here. You have Evil Away incense. Now that kind of sounds like what people think voodoo may be. What exactly is that?
well, it's people's always trying to get beyond evil. And so that's amazing, that incense. And it came to me, and I make it here at the temple. And it's like putting together, like now, some turkey dressing. And you have all the different herbs, some herbs, garlic, and and little spicy, and little sulfur, little pepper, red pepper. It's a lot of different ingredients that goes in there to make it sort of a little funky, and because you don't want it too sweet, but it's not too string-laden, and people can burn it in their house, or they can burn it in their business. Because a lot of people say, I think I feel something negative in my business. I feel something negative in my house. And um, some people think, well, somebody always threw a negative, evil things to them. So, and it's a big suggestion to the mind. You burn this incense, and it help banish the evil, because people are very skimmish. They can be very suspicious, and get very paranoid. And so you have to have some object or something that a person can apply. Because if you tell a person, well, if you just get quiet, take some time out, but that's like telling a child to stop crying without giving him a pacifier.
Hmm.
And so these are like a little pacifier to the person, that he said, well, I got my mojo, and like nobody's gonna mess with me now. So but it's so many different kinds of mind in our society. And people wouldn't think, well, there's people who say or feel, and at a different level, you go to a psychiatrist and get evaluation. But people will come to us with their uh, fears or their psychic uh, conflicted issues, and to see who is uh, bringing negative things to them. They always feel like somebody's working against them. And so, and we're like this different level of psychology, psychiatrists, as well as scientists or chemists, to put together these ideas, products that can go along with the thoughts and the inspiration we give to the person. Because people's trust factor is so short sometimes. They need something else to hold on to. And so giving a mojo bag or some oils or fragrance, you have to give somebody something that they have tangible with them, so they can always feel like, oh, I got my. But if you tell them, well, that the divine or Jesus is always with you, and that's can be like, oh yes, but then person needs something tangible that he can have, because he haven't come to rely on Jehovah or rely on Elohim or to Jesus or to what Blessed Mother. He sounds good and give me a prayer of Blessed Mother, but but give me something else that I can hold on to. And I find that I've worked at a company in Chicago with the sisters, and they have the rosary. It's just like this suggestion that you got this and you got these beads and so, but if you just had to say, well, I gotta pray the rosary and no rosary, that's just a physical suggestion. And the person still can have a nervous breakdown or go through many different traumas. But a lot of these experiences of oils or incense or giving a person a talisman or giving a person a scapular from the Catholic side, or just having a rosary just to have on your body. It helps you from going through we save a lot of people's lives. A lot of people could really wind up in a big default emotionally and despair. And so each one of these experiences is like a sword to meet the persons in different reflection, different angles of their minds, and what cannot be done in the Baptist church, well, you can come to the Voodoo Spiritual Temple or another spiritual church down the road. And it's just how it works that we complement each science to help balance people who cannot relate from those, get what they would want from those other institutions. So there's a sword for every soul on this earth.
So, in the moments we have left, just about a minute or so,
Wow,
sage. I know it just flies by. Sage. Let's talk about sage. Now, I've saged before. Um, is that to get rid of negativity?
well, I like, for most people who want to always get rid of something, we say, okay, it's banishing. But maybe you or I, we burn sage and it smells great. And it balances, it just us bring everything in order. But for people who is skeptical or has a deep suspicion of things coming after them, well, the sage, as well as the incense that we were speaking about, sort of give them the impression this is really moving this whole thing on out of your way. And between you and I, most of our own self are in our way because we can build up a big whirlwind of emotions. And I tell you, but skepticism goes far. People's who has a tendency to be a little skeptical about their neighbors or just cannot work in society and feel at ease with the indifferency of your comrades next door to you, or people don't have to love you. Or when I had a client were in America from, I think, she either was Iranian or whichever. And so just moving in the neighborhood, it's like, oh, and so many people were to her was always not liking her because I said, so I'm sure she was not speaking the language, but however she find us in New Orleans, well, we did the best we could to give her things because she felt like the neighbors was always out together. So you got a lot of different humans in our societies. Like it can be from white to black to Spanish. Every nation or person has somebody that has these uncanny ways that they feel that something is not always accepting them. And so it seems that somewhere the author or the minds of years say, okay, let's blend these signs of herbs, let's incense or resin, and it does purify the environment of yourself or your own house, or it does help people to relax and find some order or contentment with themselves.
always learn a lot when we get together, Priestess. And I want to tell everybody, voodoospiritualtemple.org. voodoospiritualtemple.org is the website if you want to learn some more. It's a nonprofit corporation. Fascinating. You've been doing this for 3.5 decades,
Wow.
34 years and then some.
Yeah, I met my first spiritual mentor in Chicago in early 70s, but I was with my spiritual minister that I was ordained from 1979 to 89 before my life changed to this direction. So,
Wow.
so
Wow.
it's just that, and meeting the peoples who was the author of these different signs, and my husband putting these products. So, so is to have something besides just words to heal the person. You know, you could tell the person, so sit down and go well within yourself. That might be a very freak out moment for that person who won't always go within themselves, right?
Oh, well, it's a whole other podcast right there where you need to connect with your inner self. You have to love yourself too.
Right.
We love you, Priestess. Thank you so much
Oh my
for
God,
joining
I'm
us.
so
And
grateful. I wait for this. I love this. So I'm
same,
very thankful.
same. And on that point, happy Thanksgiving to you and
You too.
yours. All right, we'll catch up
Your
soon,
life.
okay?
All right.
Bye.
Be well.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.